Hey, welcome to another edition of Sit Down at Uptown, man. The Sit Down at Uptown, we chop it up with all the comedians who come rock Uptown Comedy Corner. I'm your host, the owner of Uptown Comedy Corner, Angelo Sykes, man. And tonight, we got a special guest tonight. You know, been a long time coming since he's been back to Uptown, man. We're excited to have him back. It's Mr. Red Grant, the man with the laugh. What's up, brother?
Hey, man, thanks for having me, man. You know, I ain't been back for a while, but
Yes,
you know, this
sir.
home. So I like chopping it up at Uptown, and, you know, it's a stage that has history. I don't know what they talking about over there. What y'all talking about, man? You know we can hear y'all. Y'all, do you think you whispering?
Right. Do a terrible job
Yeah,
of
I'm
it.
telling you, y'all need some headphones. Nah, you know, this home, that's why I can climb with people, man. My man Bo over there, family over there. And it's when I come back to Atlanta, and these crowds, you know, they take it serious. So the first show has already been had, and, you know, hopefully we have the same type of crowds all weekend.
No doubt. No doubt. So, Red, man, you know, I always like to take trips back on these conversations, right? So let's take a trip backwards, man. Let's take a trip back to your youth. You know what I mean? Tell us about what growing up was like, where exactly you're from, and what, you know, with the neighborhood. Tell us what you were like as a kid.
Growing up,
Yeah.
well, I was born in DC General Hospital. My sister was she was probably like 9 or 10 months. I came home to the projects. My sister's bed became my bed. She moved to the dresser drawer up, you know, in the same room, my parents. I wouldn't say it was abusive situations around there, but, you know, I think in the 70s, you know, there was a lot of stress going on in homes, and a lot of people were fighting. So I saw a lot of fighting and shit like that. But my parents divorced when I was 5, and that's when I realized that I was going to have to be the man of the house, and I realized I was going to, you know, I don't know if I knew at that time I was going to be a comedian, but I definitely knew I was going to be an entertainer.
Okay.
Because my mother started putting me in all these programs, and like singing and dancing and acting, and football, baseball, any sport. She just kept me busy, and she partied a lot. It was one of those situations, you know.
Yeah.
But she took care of us, me and my sister, raised us in Washington, D.C., Southeast. And she made a terrible place feel like a great place. Taught us how to plant flowers and clean up our neighborhood and make friends and know your neighbors. So I grew up in a real neighborhood.
Okay.
And I was fortunate to, you know, be good with my hands. And I boxed for 8 years with like 14 Boys Club. And then I just, you know, I fell in love with football. And when I fell in love with football, it was just like, that's what I want to do. I wanted to go pro.
Okay.
So I got a scholarship to play at Savannah State University. I played with the great Shannon Sharpe. And I saw some things, you know, early in life, I didn't even know, you know, I was 17, so Sharpe was probably 19, 20, but it was like, you saw work ethic. So I saw work ethic early in my life, like seeing people really take their career serious. So, you know, being around those type of individuals, you know, I was able to gain a work ethic, and my mom's gave me a good work ethic. So here I am, still having a great work ethic 30-some years later, you know. And youngers be like, well, Reg, you look like you stay in shape. I feel like we got to stay in shape. I feel like we got to be the leaders of the culture, you know, and that's what I want to do.
That's what's up. So what kind of student were you in school? Particularly early on.
I was a good student because I knew how to talk to the teachers.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I knew how to actually negotiate grades. I negotiated grades all the way through high school, until I had to go to Savannah State and they made me take the aptitude test. And I realized I didn't learn anything.
Wow.
I ain't know English. I couldn't write an essay. They told me to write an essay during the aptitude test. I wrote a letter and said, "Sincerely yours, Rodney Grant." Because my grandmother used to teach me how to write letters. That's all I knew how to do was to write letters and put "Sincerely Rodney Grant."
Wow.
So they showed me how to, they read my shit up, red. I think that's how I got my name. I got too many
All the red mark.
And then they told me how to write essays, but that teaching is what took my career to this level, because everything I do, I write it really in essay form, from the scripts I write, from my jokes, from even when I'm writing, if I'm any speech, like you got to have a beginning, middle, and you got to have a closing, and and that's what life's about.
That's real. That's real. That's interesting. So you negotiate all the way through, and
negotiated. I did.
That's wild. So now, football was your love. So so I'm assuming you did really, really well to get a scholarship to Savannah State. So what was that transition like from DC to Savannah for you?
Well, in DC, I was the man on the football field. In Savannah, I had to work hard. I had to go where the scrubs was at first. I had to fight for my scholarship. And when you fighting for a scholarship, they put you on like the I guess it's the practice squad.
Scout team.
Yeah, the scout team.
Yeah.
And I wasn't gonna stay on the scout team because they had us with the worst equipment. It was wide receivers playing linemen, and the real team was coming at us. They wasn't playing. So I made an example of this dude named Mud. And Mud, I love him to death. But, he kept rushing the quarterback. I clipped him, flipped him all day long. And I got off the practice squad. And I became, one of the fullbacks on the team. And I said, nah, I'm never going to get on the practice squad again. But I had an attitude problem. I couldn't stop fighting.
Okay.
So I lost my football scholarship because I got in a skirmish on the football field, and I couldn't leave. Like that's why I tell my young people, when you go to college, leave that street stuff like at home. Like you don't go to college to still be in the street. You go to college to learn something.
Right.
But I was down there still trying to be like big bad dude. So I lost my scholarship, went to another school, lost that, got put out of that school, almost went to jail playing around, and I went home and started selling cars.
Wow.
At 19.
Wow.
And when I started, I was the worst car salesman in the world. I ain't gonna lie to you, I worked at a place called Capital Nissan on Rhode Island Avenue in DC. And I sold 2 cars. One of them I sold to this girl who became my girlfriend. Who called me one day and said, "What you doing?" I was like, "I ain't doing nothing. I don't sell cars. I'm just up here." She was like, "I'll come get you. You can go back to school. And you can live with me." And I went and lived there. I went back to UDC, got my education, started taking it serious. I started lying to people, telling them I was a comedian. They put me on the show. Def Comedy Jam came in town. The student government dude put me on the show. I wasn't a comedian, but I went on stage and I ain't get booed. So I was like, I'm gonna give this shit a try. Started going to open mics. Man, this dude named Bob Sumner saw me, and he put me on TV. That was about 8 months after I wasn't even 20. So
now that's interesting. So you're saying that you didn't have no desire, no one edged you. You just negotiate again. I mean,
I negotiated. My man Bo P he know. Like I integrate to where I go.
Okay.
I'm a chameleon, but I'm a leading chameleon. I like to go and find out what's going on, but then make it my own. Right. So when I first went to Hollywood, I was like, I'm gonna move back here as soon as I could. But I had to go through a whole new camp. So I moved to New York first. And when I moved to New York, that changed my life. BET gave me a job. They was like, Red, you funny. We're going to send you to New York. If you want a job, can you produce shows, write shows, act in the shows, and get the camera people and find the shows? We'll pay you $400 a week. I was making $300 at the rec center. So I was like, all right. So I moved to New York, started producing shows for Teen Summit. And
wow.
I produced about 20 of them shows. And then they let me host the show. And then I moved from hosting the show to working at Planet Groove, working over at, starting to produce the shows at Spring Blings. So I started all that 21 Questions and all that. They was just giving me cameras and just let me go to work. And it just became fun, and I just became a producer. I quit comedy for 2 years and just produced film and television.
Wow.
And a lot of people don't even know that. I just gave up my career. I was just like, man, I'm just going to produce shows. So I worked there for 2 years.
So now when you started the comedy, let's just go here for a second. When you started doing comedy, it was just sound like on a whim. Like, so how did you develop? Like first thing, what did you talk about?
It was crazy because I don't know if it was a whim. You don't know how life is, right?
Yeah,
so
okay.
When I was at Savannah State, we used to do like talent shows, and Shannon Sharpe was talking about this on his show. He was like how we used to do talent shows, and we used to, be clowning and all of that, but it wasn't in the intent to become a comedian.
Okay.
It was just an intent to be a wild young dude, just to be wild, but practice make perfect. You wild so long, you bottle that stuff up. So, I mean, God had a bigger plan than I knew.
So, I mean, were people telling you, hey, man, you need to get on stage? I mean,
yeah,
when you...
my frat brother told me.
Okay.
One of my partners, Rob Pearson, he was like, man, you funny as stuff, man. You should go on stage, man. Get on that Def Comedy Jam. And he's the one, he encouraged me. And he also the one who encouraged me to stop being corny.
Is that right?
Yeah, because there's a lot of corny dudes. They ain't talking about what they live. And when you don't talk about what you live, you're a corny dude. So I was talking about some bullshit. I don't know. I was talking about Wonder Woman coming to the projects, getting her wrist shot off, and something up. And I got in the car that night. He was like, man, you got to stop talking about that corny shit, man. He said, talk about that shit you talk about when you around us, man, in the neighborhood. Talk that, like, man, about your family, yourself. I was like, damn, I can make it personal. He was like, man, you got to make it personal because that shit you talking about is corny. And after that, I just made it personal.
Wow.
And I got better.
Wow. So real quick, we got to ask this question, man, because you know Shannon Sharpe right now is going crazy.
Shay.
Yeah, man. So how was he? Was it he kind of like seemed like he's real intense, real like? Is that how he was in college as well?
Nah, he was super intense in college, man.
Is that right?
Yeah, but he was a good guy, like to work out with. Like, I mean, he took it serious, like how you eat, how you maintain your body, and he took all that shit before people was taking it serious.
Okay.
I knew he was going to pro. We had nothing but scouts out, like 20, 30 scouts on the field when Sharpe was there. And he ended up going, big. Yeah. Becoming a Hall of Famer. So, I always tell people work ethic puts you where you're supposed to be. And you continue your work ethic, you're gonna be somebody. But don't think they're gonna give it to you.
That's right.
So, but he was a good guy. He was a good guy.
That's what's up. So now let's talk about your career as far as the comedy goes first. All right, so was Def Jam your first major platform?
I did Def Jam and Apollo the same weekend. So
oh wow.
So the Apollo I did on Saturday night.
Okay. And
then I did Def Jam on Sunday. So Apollo I actually can say was my first real TV joint. And then Def Jam. But I did them the same weekend. So I did the same set that I did on on Apollo, and it ripped. And if you rip the Apollo, you're gonna rip Def Jam. Right. So I was like, if this set rips the Apollo, and I think I was talking about like being in love. Love will make you do crazy things like hide in the bushes with leaves in your hand. I don't know, something like that. It was some wild. And it ripped at the Apollo. I said, okay, I got my set for tomorrow, because Def Jam was the big one, And I did that same set. Crushed. And And I mean, you know, that was a big stage for us.
Absolutely.
You know, youngins now, they be like Def Jam. They don't know, you know, like to get on the TV was like hard.
Yeah.
That was before even Comic View was letting us on TV.
That's right.
You know?
That's right. That's right.
And then Comic View kind of changed the game because it gave us an opportunity to be superstars and really get money.
Right.
So we was able to get in clubs, and then it opened up doors for you guys to open up more clubs.
Right.
And that's how the ecosystem is in comedy.
That's real. So now, I heard you say you stopped comedy for a couple of years, but do you remember, were you at a point where you was on stage or came off stage where you realized that this is me, this is what I want to do? Do you remember that moment?
Now, I'm going to tell you how it happened. It's a true story. Linnell had a birthday party in Hollywood. I hadn't been on stage in almost 2 years. She was like, "You want to go on?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll go on." Katt went on that same night. I went on Rock. He went on Destroyed. After the joint, he was like, he's about to go on tour. He's about to do his own tour. What, do I want to go on tour with him? I was like, "Yeah, I'll go on tour." And this was his first tour. It was like, I tell people the story, and they don't believe me. It's like 500 people in like a 2,500 seater theater, like for a few weeks, like weeks and weeks and months. Like it wasn't like no big crowds, but we were still rocking, right? And he was still going by Money Mike at the time. So it was, you know, he wasn't even flossing the Katt Williams at the time. It was like Money Mike. But then he did Def Jam, and he did his special in Atlanta here. This shit right here, when he did that shit and that came on, it went from 500 to 5,000, 7,000 to 8,000. Now we go out and it's 12,000 people.
Right.
But it was a point where it was like, I remember it. And we always laugh at this, and smile about it because it's about that work ethic.
Yeah.
And my man got some of the most incredible work ethic that any entertainer I've ever been around has. You know, and if you be around that, you understand. You know, KW got that work ethic.
Yeah, yeah. So you've been around some guys who have serious work ethic, so it just embedded in what your mom put into you, so it just kind of went together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now, as Def Jam started taking off, you see your career start moving along, right?
Mm-hmm.
What did you see as any obstacle for you?
Just money, sleeping on floors, and that was the obstacle.
Okay.
Getting day to day. How would you gonna get to your next, you know, paper? I used to like try to do 3 shows a night in New York, get $75, go and get another $75, you know, make about $750 in 10 days, try to flip that, pay my little rent, you know, get a check for BET, try to flip that, just stay in the game.
Right.
That's what it's about, really staying in the game and staying funny and staying creative.
Yeah.
Because all of that stuff is a part of the growth, you know, the struggle.
Right.
You know, they can look at your bank account now and say, okay, you know, he made millions of dollars, but when he was depressed, sleeping on the floors, and he, you know, he didn't know what his next meal was, or he's sleeping in the car with all his clothes. You know, those are the times where you gotta find out who you are.
Do you be amazed at this point in your career, where, I mean, like you just said, you be on tour with Katt Williams and y'all sell out arenas. Are you amazed at all?
No, he sells out arenas.
He sells out arena. Respect.
Let's don't get it twisted.
Right.
I know my position.
Respect.
Like, you know,
Respect.
No, but you know, he gives us our love. So he'll say we sell out arenas,
Right.
but no. Mr. Williams sells out arenas. He's the boss, you know.
But do you be amazed by that kid from DC that fought and getting kicked out of school? I mean, and you sit in front of 10, 12,000 people. Like, what is that like for you?
No, it's humbling because, you know I got through the part that anything could have happened. You know, that's why you never can look at like people that's incarcerated or whatever, any kind of way, because you just don't know, what happened.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? That could go either way. And a lot of people, especially in today, young men and women, they don't have like a lot of fathers sometimes in their lives.
Right.
So, we got to be fathers in the community because there's so many fathers gone. So now we got to step up and be fathers and everything. So it's a deep world, but I am humbled to be a part of it and be like, say, see those people out in front and be able to perform and be called one of the top in the country.
Yeah. So let me ask this question, not to get into the whole shenanigans, but were you there at the Katt Williams interview with him and Shannon Sharpe? Were you? Because I know you weren't there.
He told me about it. He told me it was about it.
So were you shocked about how all that unfolded?
No, not really. I kind of got a brief about what was about to happen. I knew it was going to be, something that going to be powerful. But when it came on, it was way more powerful than I ever could think. I think, it was something that needed to be done for our, to start our new year off. And
how about that?
It was fun.
Yeah.
I mean, for some people it wasn't, but I mean, I just looked at it like people speak their mind and how they speak their mind. And, it's a truth time right now, so people are going to speak their truth.
So what about your political run? What led to you deciding you want to run for office?
God. God came to me in L.A., and I was sitting in my house chilling, and he was like, I need you to listen. I need you to sell everything you own in L.A. and move back to Washington, D.C. and run for mayor. I said, huh? I said, I don't even like politics. He said, I know you don't. That's why I need you to run for mayor.
Wow.
And I asked my wife. She was down, told her she retired. She was a police officer in Santa Monica, and she retired. And we moved back to D.C., and we learned the process of how to become a political individual.
Okay.
Because it's a process to it.
Yeah, I
you
bet.
know, you can say I'm running for office, but it's really a process, and to learn that process is the fun part of it.
Okay.
Because campaigning probably is the hardest thing that I've ever done in my life, and if you do it right, it's rewarding. So, and I've done it 3 years straight. So back to back to back. In those years, I've learned so much, and I've taught people how that the political system can be changed, and it can work for us.
Okay.
And that's all I want to do. I want to make sure that young people have an opportunity to grow and have a real voice and protect it. I want to make sure our seniors are not looked at. I want to make sure our veterans are not, looked down upon. And, we got so many homeless veterans, and,
Facts.
it got deep to me. And I found myself like in the middle of the people. And I saw that they didn't have a voice. And then people in position were faking like they were the voice, but they weren't. So I was that, like on this chessboard, I was the pawn for God. He was put me out there.
That's good stuff.
Double move first.
That's good stuff.
But it's something that needed to happen, and even in this room, it's different political situations. I just feel like everything is politics. What we're doing right now is politics. And people have to learn that about it. And that's what we miss in our community, a lot of misled politics.
Okay.
No codes, no respect.
Okay.
So we just gotta lift ourselves up, and nobody else ain't gonna do it for us.
Facts. So I got one more question, man. We're gonna get you out of here.
Yeah, because the show started already.
Yeah. What What is it that Red Grant still has on his to-do list in this business?
Some of it I don't know, but I do want to be one of the top showrunners in the world.
Okay.
Like I want to bring in shows for Katt's new production. I want to make sure people who haven't gotten the opportunity to get their scripts seen, get their movies seen, their shows seen, get them picked up, and give people opportunities, for the future. It's in that vein, and just continue to be one of the funniest in the world.
Okay.
And keep being, new, fresh, and humble.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. So, Red, we close off with a top 5, man. I do a classic conversation on Tuesday nights, man. We always end with the top 5. You a Redskin fan?
I am.
Commanders?
Deep.
That's what I want. That's
It's Philly. You're a Philly fan.
So, yeah.
They be coming in our stadium acting like idiots and shit.
So, give me your top 5. I mean, I don't know if you would do the Commanders yet, but your top 5 Redskins, because I don't think there's no Commanders in the top 5 yet, right?
Yeah.
Give me your top 5 Redskins of all time.
Top 5 Redskins of all time. Doug Williams.
Okay.
John Riggins.
Yes, sir.
Joe Jacoby.
Right.
Art Monk. And Daryl Green.
There it is.
I mean,
hey,
shit.
Hey, that's it, right?
That's all I can tell you.
Hey, that's a good top 5 there, man. Hall of Fame all the way.
All right.
Hey, man, Red, I appreciate your time, brother.
Thank you for
know what I
having
mean?
me.
It's a dope conversation, man. Get to learn a little bit more about you, man. It's the Sit Down at Uptown with man Red Grant.
Yeah, sit
We
down
out.
at Uptown. Let's go.
Appreciate you, brother.